are you all doing? Hope you are doing great today. It's bright and sunny outside. I hope the weather at your place is good too. So today we'll be working out some problem on sampling again, a different set of problems than what we did last time. Those of you who don't know me, this is Dr. Nandi. I have a series of lectures on statistics in my channel. I have also solved lots of stat problems in my channel step by step. So please subscribe to my channel by hitting the red subscribe button, and also please click on the notify button, which is the bell button. Every time you will be notified I upload a new video. Like I was saying, today we are going to work out some sample problems. So again, these are problems on sampling. The head of quality control department of a printing company would like to carry out an experiment to determine which of the three glues result in the greatest binding strength. Other factors that affect binding strength are number of pages, whether the book is hardbound or paperback. Okay. So the first question is, what is the response variable? Remember, response variable is the output variable. Here, of course, you know it is the binding strength. Okay. Part B. So this is part A. Part B. What explanatory condition will determine the experimental conditions experimental, I'd say, results. So they're asking for, we already know the response variable is the binding strength, and they're looking for explanatory variable that will explain the results, and that would be, it's already given to us, is types of glue. And remember they're checking out 3 types of glue, I believe. Okay. Part C. What extraneous variables are mentioned in the problem? Can you think of any other extraneous variable that should be considered? Just to remind you, like we covered extraneous variable before, extraneous, as the name implies, additional variable or additional factors that might affect the results. Here we are looking for the binding state, so they're talking about what other extra variables that can affect the binding strength, and they have been mentioned in the problem. Okay. So the two there mentioned are, one is number of pages in the book, pages in the book. Two, whether the book, this is also mentioned, whether the book is hardbound. You know, hardbound bound, strong, so you need very strong glue. Hardbound or paperback. As you know, paperback books are not strongly bound because they tend to come up once in a while. Hardbound or paperback textbook or paperback book. These two are already mentioned in the question. Other factors that affect binding strength are number of pages, whether the book is hardbound or paperback. Another extra one can be weight of the material used, weight of the material. Weight of the material used for book cover. Used for book cover. If that is heavy, you have to consider a stronger glue because it has to stick to the rest of the pages. Okay, and the type of paper also makes a difference. If the papers are very good, strong, they're heavier in weight, then also you need to consider glues that are strong enough to hold these heavy pages. And the type of paper used for the book. Used for the book. So, here we are talking about an experimental study. We're talking about a response variable and an explanatory variable. Response variable in this case is the binding strength, and we are looking at 3 types of glues. Okay. Explanatory is types of glues. So response, as you know, is the output variable. Explanatory variable is a variable that explains the results, and that in this case is types of glue. Okay. So response variable is binding strength, and explanatory variable is types of glues. So response is the output. Explanatory variable is explains the results of an experiment. Here types of glue. Then they're asking for additional variables that can affect the binding strength. And what are these? Two of them they already mentioned. Number of pages that are used in the book, and also whether the book is hardbound or paperback. You know, paperback books they're not so strongly bound, so you can do with glue which is less strength, which demonstrates less strength. For a hardbound textbook, you need a glue that is very strong and hold the pages together. The third one, which could be an extraneous or additional variable that affects the binding strength, is what material you use for the cover and the back of the textbook. Is it heavy? Similarly, the kind of paper that is used to print the textbook, is it heavy? That will also affect the binding strength. Okay, so here is a problem on an experimental study. We are talking about the response variable, and we are talking about the explanatory variable. We are talking about extraneous variables, additional variables, extraneous variables that could affect the final result. So let's turn the page, or let's turn the board actually, and do another problem like this. So this is another problem, you want to carry out an experiment to compare bacteria reduction for 3 different hand drying methods. The idea is the more drier the material will be, the less bacteria will sting to it. Okay, will stick to it. Okay. Describe. So describe, that is the actual question. Describe then a method for randomly assigning each of the 30 subjects to one of the hand drying methods. To one of the hand drying methods. Hand drying methods. Okay. So you have 30 subjects, I guess 30 objects which are weight, and you have want to check out three methods of hand drying which will reduce the number of bacteria stuck on that weight material. Okay, so the question is, describe a method for randomly assigning each of the 30 subjects, these are weight subjects or weight cloths maybe, to one of the hand drying methods. Remember, there are three hand drying methods. Three. Okay. So, what is the procedure you can follow to randomly assign 30 subjects to one of the three hand drying methods? Okay. So, answer. Write the names of 30 subjects in on slips of paper mix the slips in a can, mix the slips of paper in a can, and then select 10 slips. Okay. Assign these 10 subjects to the first hand drying method. Drying method. So you selected 10 from a well mixed can, 10 slips of paper with 10 subjects' name written on them, and the 10s that you selected, the 10 subjects' names, you will assign them to the first hand drying method. Okay. So now you are left with 20 because 10 have been selected out of 30. Mix the remaining 20 slips in a can and then select 10 slips randomly, of course. Assign these 10 selected subjects to the second hand drying method. So, okay. So you're done with 20 now. Okay. You have assigned the first 10 selected names to the first drying method. Then you put the remaining 20 in the can, shake it up, and select randomly 10 more slips of paper. The 10 subjects that are selected will be assigned to the second drying method. So you are now left with 10. Okay. Assign the remaining 10 subjects to the third drying method. To the third drying method. So let me go over again what is the problem all about. You want to carry out an experiment to compare bacteria reduction for three different drying methods. You want to reduce bacteria from the surface of 30 subjects. Describe a method using three different hand drying methods. Describe a method for randomly assigning each of the 30 subjects. In this case, will be object like maybe wet cloth or something like that. Describe a method for randomly assigning each of the 30 subjects to one of the hand drying methods. Remember, you want to compare for three. You have three different hand drying methods. You want to find out a method so that you can randomly assign 30 subjects to one of the three hand drying methods. So how do you do that? 1, 2 and 3. So okay, to the drying method. So you have 3 drying methods and 30 subjects. And you want to assign randomly 30 subjects to the 3 different drying methods. So one way to do that will be write the names of 30 subjects on slips of paper. Slips of paper. Mix the slips of paper in a big can and then shake. Okay. Then randomly draw 10 slips of paper. Assign, of course you have names written on these 10 slips of paper. Assign these 10 subjects to the first drying method, hand drying method. Now 10 are gone, you have left with 20 slips of paper. Again put those 20 slips of paper back in the can and shake. You're shaking to mix them up. And then you randomly draw 10 slips of paper with 10 subjects written on them, names written on them. Assign these 10 subjects that are selected in the second round to the second drying method. So 20 subjects are now gone. 10 in the first experiment, 20, next 10 in the second trial, where your first trial you took 30 slips of paper, put in a can, shook it up and then selected 10 slips. Those slips selected got the first drying method. Repeat the process with the remaining 20, put the slips in the can, again shake them up and select randomly 10 slips. Those selected the second time around will be given the second drying method, and then you are left with only 10 more slips of paper. You can again put in the paper and you don't have to put in the can, you know these are 10 slips of paper. In those last 10 slips of paper, you assign the third drying method. Assign the remaining 10 subjects to the third drying method. So this is the first round, this is the second round, and this is the last round. So this way you randomly assign the 30 subjects to 3 different methods of drying. I'll stop here today. If you have any question, any comment, do not hesitate, but please shoot me a small note. I'll respond to each and one of your questions. And if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. It really motivates me. And if you like this video, share with your friends. Even your friends, please subscribe to my channel by hitting the red subscribe button at the bottom right corner. Please do not forget to click on the notify button, which is the bell button. You will be notified every time I upload a new video, which I do quite often. So I appreciate the fact that you took time to watch my presentation, and please do not forget to come back tomorrow when I'll do a new presentation. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Take care.